Hello, my friends. Welcome to another chair yoga video. I'm so glad that you decided to join me. In today's practice, we're going to focus on feet and ankles. Two things that are very important to us as we continue to balance and move throughout our lives. All we're going to need is a chair and perhaps something to rest your feet upon, and we can get started. We'll begin seated today, and we'll slide back in our chair, connecting our feet to the floor, either with a block or a cushion or something, or maybe your legs are long enough to just connect to the earth that way. But notice sensations right away in the feet. And in my case, I have my toes hanging off the front of the block and my heels hanging off the back, and that's something interesting that I can pay attention to. Your feet might be in a different position, but notice the sensations on the soles of the feet. Allow your hands to rest either palms up or palms down in the lap. And we'll soften or close the eyes and just arrive here in our yoga practice. Begin to slow down and even out the breath. Notice what it feels like to be you today. And then bring your attention into the body, noticing any areas that might need our special attention today. And then notice how the nervous system feels. Are we feeling smooth and easy? Are we feeling excited, anxious, angry? Any emotion is fine. Just notice. And then turn your attention back to your breath. Slow and even inhales and exhales. And then we'll take a moment, we'll stack those palms at heart center, and we'll set an intention for this practice. Whatever it is that's important to you, bring it to the front of your mind and the front of your heart. And then release those hands back down into your lap. We'll slide forward a little bit, moving that block out from underneath our feet. You can put it off to the side and connect your feet to the floor. So feel the feet on the floor. All of your toes are down, your heel is down, you can feel the earth beneath you. And then we'll just pick up the toes, pick them all up. The rest of my foot is down, that fleshy part underneath the toes, the ball of the foot on the floor. Just my toes are lifting, and then I'm gonna put them back down. And notice what that feels like. So it's a little stretch on the bottom of the feet. And then we'll put those toes back down. Now, let's move our feet really close together. So those big toes are touching. My feet are straight ahead. That might mean that the heels are apart. There's about 1 inch between my heels. I'm sitting towards the edge of my chair. And I'm going to keep that big toe side of my foot down, down, down on the floor and open my knees just as wide as they can go with my toes down. So we're getting into those ankles right away. And then we'll bring those feet back together. And let's try that again, opening the knees just as wide as is possible while we're pushing down on the big toe side of the foot. And then bring knees back together. We're sitting up tall, noticing those sensations in the foot and the ankles, and then come on back. Okay, let's wiggle those toes again, and this time we'll bring the soles of the feet together. Now my knees are wide and my pinky toes are touching each other. I'm sitting towards the edge of my chair. What happens if I flex my toes away from each other? I don't let them touch, and then I'm going to bring them back together. And try that again. Flex your toes away from each other from one side to the other, and then bring them back. And now we're going to let the toes touch. Soles of the feet are touching. My heels are touching. And I'm going to start to bring my knees towards one another without separating my feet. Again, I'm limited by the ankles, right? Open, and then try and bring them together. Just notice how far you go. Let that inhale open the knees. And as we exhale, we'll bring them back together. One last one, open. And then let's release, put those feet back on the floor. Maybe bounce them out. Notice how that feels. Yeah, take a breath. Notice those sensations in the soles of the feet, the foot, the ankle. Now we'll put our hands on our laps. Let's do a few rounds of cat and cow, bringing a little motion into our spine. We'll inhale, push into the feet, lift up the sternum, the chin, and the gaze. And as we exhale, we'll bring that belly button back to support the spine. We'll round, we'll drop the chin. Try it again, push into the feet, inhale. Exhale, bring those abdominal muscles back to the spine as you round. One more like that. And then sit up tall. Now I'm going to start with my right foot. I'm going to lift it up a little bit and just begin to circle my foot at the ankle. If that is not available to you, you can keep the toes on the ground and circle here. We're bringing motion into the foot and ankle. We're going to move all of those parts. Go the other way. So if you started circling one way, start to circle the other. And then we're going to point the toe and flex it. Again, if that's too hard for you to lift the leg, you can just keep the foot on the floor pointing and flexing. So this can work at any level here. Bringing motion, kind of hydrating all of those joints. Now the next time that we point our toes, we're going to point them really hard, and we're just going to bring the toes back, almost like a Barbie doll foot. So the toes come back, but my foot is pointing away from me. And then I'm going to put that foot back down. Notice how this whole leg now might feel different than the one that we haven't worked yet. So we switch to the other side. I'm moving to my left side now. I'm going to start to make circles with my ankle. I can keep the toes on the floor, or I can lift it up. I want to keep my spine tall no matter what. And then go the other way. And then we'll do that pointing and flexing. We don't need to go fast. As a matter of fact, the slower we go, we might get more information about the foot and the ankle and how they feel today. And then the next time that we point that foot, we're going to keep it point it hard, and bring those toes back towards you, almost like a Barbie doll foot. So my toes are coming this way, but my foot's pointing that way. And then I'm going to put that foot back down on the earth. Take a moment to check in with the soles of the feet, the ankles, shins, calves. And then we might do a little bouncing here, just to loosen things up a little bit more. It might feel good. And just let the whole body go with it. Maybe your arms bounce a little bit too. And then come back to stillness. Now we're going to move up the leg a little bit into the knees now. Again, if it's available to you, you might pick up the leg and hug behind the thigh, and then extend and bend the knee. And let's add in breath. So we can inhale, extend. You might point your toe. And then exhale, flex the foot, bring it back. Now you may notice my leg isn't super straight. This is just as far as I can go. That is comfortable, working within a comfortable range of motion. If this isn't available to you, you just keep the leg here and extend from the chair. And then we'll pause and switch to the other side. This side might feel different. So extend the leg on the inhale, and as you exhale, you can flex it, bring it back. Now I'm pointing and then flexing, but What happens if we do it the other way? It might be interesting, right? Inhale, flex the foot and extend it. Exhale, point it and bring it back. So there's all different ways that we can explore today. Knowing that we don't have to hold behind the thigh, but we can just use the chair to support us. And then put that foot down. Pause and notice how things feel, maybe another bounce or two. And then we're going to do some soft, easy twisting. So we'll bring our hands forward. We're going to take an inhale here, getting as tall as we can in the spine. And then as we exhale, I'm just going to bring my hands to one side. And then the inhale will bring me back to center. I untwist. Exhale goes the other way. I'm just letting my head and my eyes follow along. And when my hands come down, they're just resting here. They're not prying me into this twist so that I might be here and my shoulders are just moving a little bit, or I might be a little deeper and it's more of a mid-back twist. Everyone's going to be a little bit different, and that's good. And then we'll finish up, return to center, and let the hands rest in your lap. Moving now onto hands and arms. Let's start with our hands. Gentle movement in the fingers and soft turns of the wrists. Nothing painful, just some soft movement. We might want to make a soft fist, bringing the thumbs in and gently folding the fingers over it. Soft fist. We can extend the arms perhaps, just noticing different sensations, waking up different parts of the body here. Make sure that if you're going in one direction, you go the other way as well. And then we'll pause and bring the arms forward, palms up. My elbows are soft. We're going to move into the elbows now. Take an inhale here, and as we exhale, we'll bring fingertips back to shoulders. Inhale, extend, sit up taller. And exhale, bring those fingertips back to the shoulders. Now we'll add in one more movement. So let's try. Inhale, extend. Exhale, bend the elbows, fingertips come back. Inhale, elbows open wide, look up. Feel those shoulder blades come together on the back. And then exhale, elbows forward, sit up tall. Inhale, arms forward. And then we'll float them back to the shoulders. We'll open them wide, look up, expand through the front side of the body. Exhale, return elbows forward. One more like that. And then release those hands down into your lap. Notice sensations in the upper back, in that space between the shoulder blades. Okay, let's take those fingers forward again. Bring fingertips to shoulders, and then we'll start to make some circles into the shoulders, bringing the elbows forward and out and back and down. Just as large as is comfortable for you. And then what happens if we just do one elbow back at a time, circling one shoulder at a time? Becomes a little bit of a twist here. The rib cage is involved. You can even kind of let your head go with it and just let this be very organic movement. Bringing motion into the spine, the upper back, the shoulders. And then finish up, pause, and let those hands rest in your lap. Now we did only go backwards primarily because we all need that opportunity to bring those shoulders back. We're very good at the hunch, but it's real nice to get that opening across the front of the chest. Okay, so let's take a slightly wider stance with our feet. My feet are just slightly wider than my hips, hands on top of the thighs, and we're gonna make some circles with the upper body. I would advise that you start small circles, right? Just notice the lower back and how it feels here. Don't want to overdo, and we certainly don't want to cause harm. Nothing in our yoga practice should hurt. So let's make some slow, small circles. If you're comfortable, you can make these a little bit bigger. But just tune into those sensations. And then we're going to go in the other direction. So pause and go the other way. And then we'll even things out and come back to stillness in the center. Feet on the floor. We can let our hands rest lightly on our lap. Imagine we've got a magic marker tied to our nose, pointing on that wall straight ahead. And let's make some circles on that wall. Slow, easy circles with the head. We're not dropping the head behind us, just making circles on that wall in front of us. And then let the circles go the other way. And then pause and notice. So hopefully we've moved through just about every joint and muscle from our feet all the way up to the top of our head so that we can move to standing now. Once I've come up to standing, I've moved my chair out of the way, make sure the block isn't on the floor anymore. No tripping hazards. And then I'm going to find my Tadasana, my feet straight ahead. And again, I'm going to tune in to the soles of my feet and notice how they feel. What happens when I pick up those toes this time and put them down? Little different sensation there. Let's pick them up again and then put those toes back down. Maybe do a little shift side to side, feeling that weight shift from one foot into the other. You may notice a shift from the front to the back of the foot as well. Just go side to side though. And then maybe let's go a little back to front, see how that feels. And then come right into the center. Stand up tall and feel that connection to the earth. Now we're going to take a slightly wider stance than our hips, slightly wider. These are my hip bones. My knees are a little bit wider, just a little. I'm going to soften into my knees, and we're going to begin to make some lazy figure eights. So hands can be on hips or just resting. I'm going to take my left hip forward and out and back, and then my right hip forward, out, and back. So just figure out this move first. It's lazy figure eights with those hips. Hands can be wherever you want. And once you've figured out the movement, pay attention to your feet and to your ankles. How are they moving? Where's the weight going? What does it feel like? All good questions. If you want to play with your arms and do something fancy, by all means, go ahead. But then we're going to slow it down. We're going to come back to center and we're going to pause for a moment. And now we're going to reverse it. So we got to think a little bit. So knees are soft. This time I'm going to take my left hip back and out and forward. And then right hip back, out, and forward. It's a different move than the last one. We're reversing that lazy figure eight. Might be easier to start with hands on hips or hands resting. But once you've figured out the move, notice feet and ankles again. What's happening? And then we'll come back to center. Pause for a moment, bring those feet back together. Take a breath, notice how things feel. Okay, so this next sequence, you need a little bit of space on the floor. Not a lot, but maybe about 6 feet. We're gonna take a walk, a very mindful walk. So I'm gonna move this chair a little bit forward here and I'll step right next to it. If you are having balance issues today, walk right next to your wall and use the wall to help you. But I'm going to start in my mountain pose. Feet are parallel, pretty close together. Nice tall spine, and I'm going to try and keep my gaze straight ahead. And then I'm going to very mindfully walk that way. So when I say mindfully, I mean in my head I'm thinking my weight shifting into my right leg. I'm going to start to bend the left knee. I pick up the left heel and then it reaches forward. Left heel strikes the ground and then I start to roll to the front of my left foot. Oops, back heel, right heel is lifting, right knee is bending. Now that foot's going to shift forward. My weight is all in my left leg and I'm paying attention to each movement. Not looking at my feet, but looking straight ahead. And I'm just going to take one or two more steps. We don't have that much space, right? But being very mindful of what is happening with each step. And once I get to the end, I'm going to call this the end, turn around and I'm going to go the other way. Again, it's real nice to have this wall here, especially if you think you're going to fall. Try and keep that spine tall, gaze lifted. We're trying to get the information about the feet from the feet, not from our eyes. Same idea, right? The foot strikes. What happens? When does the back leg, back heel start to lift? When does that toe reach forward? All of these questions we're finding out about. Very slow movement, very aware. Now this time, when you get to the end, pause for a moment, bring feet together. Pause for a moment, because we're going to try a few steps backwards. You know your way is clean, you just came from that way, so we have no tripping hazards. I'm going to shift the weight into my right foot, put my left toes down behind me. Left heel lands, right foot lifts. And let's take 3 or 4 steps backwards. Again, we've got that wall right next to us. And when you've come to the back of your workspace, pause there. Thank yourself for doing fine work, your feet and your ankles for taking you back and forth, both forward and backwards, right? Good work. Okay, take a slightly wider stance now, just slightly wider than your mountain pose. We're going to do some chair pose here. We're going to take the arms up on our inhale. Think about that expansion. Up could mean a cactus arm, it could be a long arm. And then when we exhale, we're going to sit into our chair pose. So the knees bend, arms go back. You can go very shallow chair, you could do a very deep chair. Just be kind to your knees. The inhale, we push into the feet, arms go up, perhaps a back bend here, looking up. And as we exhale, knees bend, arms float down, we push back. Big muscles in the legs working. Feel the connection of the feet, push into the earth, lift up, look up, back bend. Arms reach forward and down, chair pose. Now let's stay here. In your chair pose, wherever you are, maybe those arms come forward as a nice counterbalance to the hips reaching behind you. Can we lift up our toes? Put them back down. Feel that connection to the earth, push into both feet, reach the arms up. Maybe there's that back bend. And on your next exhale, float the arms down. Release those feet, pause and take a moment. See how that feels. We're going to do a little warrior one next. You might want that chair in front of you for balance. You can move that, you can step behind your chair, but we'll take our right foot forward and our left foot back. So you might have your chair right here. I'm not going to use it because I want to make sure you can see me on the camera. The front knee bends, the back heel is down. So let's pay attention to this back foot. This is my left foot. The big toe side of my foot, the pinky toe side of my foot, and my heel are all down on the floor. Really important. That back leg really working. So we'll straighten that leg, the front leg, and as we move here, we're going to inhale, reach the arms forward, pull back with those biceps, bend the front knee, And then when we exhale, I'm gonna turn the palms down, push down, straighten the leg like I'm pushing down to get taller. Feel that back foot. Let's try it again. Inhale, pull back, arms are active, back leg is active. Exhale, push down, straighten legs. One more. Now this time we're gonna pull into that warrior one and stay there, stay here. Pay attention to that back foot. And on your exhale, think about bringing those abdominal muscles back to the spine. We'll take one more breath. And then release and step forward. Pause there. Notice the difference between the sides, the legs, the hips. We're going to do the other side. If you're using the chair, just keep that chair in front of you. I've got my left foot forward, my right foot back. Now I have room for my hips. Big toe, pinky toe, heel, glued down into the floor. Once I've found that, I'm going to straighten that front leg. We inhale, reach forward and pull back. Those biceps are working. This is active arms. We exhale, turn the palms down, push down, straighten the front leg. Here we go. Now, next time that we come into our warrior one, we're going to stay here. Arms are active, and that back foot is glued down. One more breath. And then release your hands, step that back foot forward. Pause and notice how that feels. Okay. Now we're all going to bring that chair next to us so that we can hold on to the back of the chair, standing next to the back of the chair. And we're going to do a little balance pose here, but a very slow moving balance pose. So I'm kind of behind my chair. I'm reaching a little bit to get to the back of the chair. Remember when we did that walk back and forth, we're going to do something very similar. So I'm going to step, I have the chair to my right fingers are on the chair. And I'm going to step forward very slowly with that left foot. So my left heel lifts. I start to step forward with left heel strikes. The front of my left foot lands. Now my back heel is lifting, and I'm going to bring that knee forward and up, coming into a balance pose. My foot can be flexed, it could be pointed, whatever feels good. Just as slowly now, I'm going to step back the way I came in the pose. My standing leg bends, that right toe reaches back, the toe lands, the heel lands. I step back, stay here. We're going to do the same thing, same side, okay? Fingertips to help support you. You can also use the wall for this, it's kind of nice. I'm stepping my left foot forward very slowly. The heel strikes, my right leg is bending so that that heel can hit the floor. My weight of the back heel is lifting. That knee is going to come forward. I like taking my opposite arm up. Nice counterbalance. And then I stay here. From here, if you like, you might play and extend your leg. Bend the knee. However you want to play here. We'll take one more breath here, whether still or moving. And then we're going to start to go back just the way we came in. That standing leg, left leg starts to bend, right toes reach back, toe lands, heel lands. Step backwards. Pause and take a breath. So we have to do the other side. You can just turn around. I'm going to move my furniture here. Same idea. So I've got my left fingertips on the chair. I'm going to step forward with my right foot. When we're ready, my feet are together. I think, oh, weight shifting into left foot. Right foot lifts. The heel strikes. The toe comes down. My back heel lifts. Knee comes forward and up. Find that balance. And then reach back, toe down, heel down, step back. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. We're going to hold it up there. When you're ready, my weight shifts. I start to step forward with that right heel. Right foot lands, left heel lifts, that left knee lifts up. Here I am. Now we're going to stay here. We can stay still and breathe, or we might decide to extend the leg and bend. That's up to you. One more breath. We start to come out. The standing leg starts to soften and bend so that that lifted toe can reach back. Toe comes down, heel comes down. Step back out of the pose. Notice all of those sensations in the body. Okay, before we come back to our chair, let's bring our hands to the back of the chair. Let's take a nice little fold here. My fingertips are on the chair. I'm going to soften into my knees. Let the hips go back a little bit. I can step back, coming into a nice supported downward facing dog. Nice long spine. You could rest your forehead on back of your hands on the back of the chair, or you can let your arms be long. Come back to that slow and even breath. Let's pick up our toes. Put them back down and walk towards the chair. And now we're going to make our way back down to seated in our chair. Once we're back in our chair, we're going to slide back. We'll connect our feet to the floor, either on a block, on a blanket, a cushion, whatever you have, or if your legs are long enough, just let them rest on the floor. But I really want us to connect to something. Turn your palms up in your lap. And the invitation is to soften or close your eyes. Just notice how you feel now. Notice the sensations in the feet and the ankles, in the shin muscles and the calf muscles. Notice the upper leg all the way into the hips. But we didn't ignore the upper body either. So notice sensation in arms and shoulders. And then come back to your breath, that slow and even breath. And we'll stack those palms at heart center and recall that intention that we set at the beginning of our class. And then release the arms, blink open the eyes if they're closed, and let's wiggle those toes again. And then slide to the edge of our chair one last time. Feet on the floor. Connect. Pick up all those toes, spread them wide, put them back down, and maybe sit a little bit taller. Notice how you feel physically. Notice how your nervous system feels. And then we'll take those arms in front of us, take a big inhale here, and when we exhale, we'll clap the palms together. Let the thumbs rest on your sternum, and thank yourself for taking time to practice yoga today. And thank you so much for allowing me to guide you. It is always an honor to be here with you, my friends. Stay well, and I'll see you again soon.